This is the Kratom Science Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gallagher, blog and social media writer for KratomScience.com, your source for all things Kratom. Working in a competitive environment in the sales and marketing field, my guest Michael McCunney uses Kratom as a stimulant, cognitive boost, and for general well-being. We talk about the importance of doing research, finding a good source, discovering your dose, and staying hydrated. So what kind of work do you do? You said you were a salesman.
Yeah, so I'm in sales and marketing. Right now I'm actually in the lending industry. A little bit of financing, a little bit of sales, meet and greet, establish relationships, maintain them, shaking hands, kissing rear ends when needed.
How are things with COVID? Are they better or worse for your industry there?
Well, I usually have a tendency of always being in a recession-proof industry. So, right now I'm in an industry that does subprime lending for the automotive industry. So the worse the credit scores, the better my business. So, I'm blessed to be in an industry that's recession-proof, and in 2008, 2009, when the housing market crashed, I just happened to be in the security alarm sales world. So, when we had a recession then and everything crashed and crime ran through the roof. So it's good. And at the same time, it's weird in a way to where you don't hope the economy goes bad, but even if it does, I actually make more money. So it's an interesting predicament.
Do they have casinos in Columbus? I noticed some poker stuff on your Twitter.
Yeah, so we got Hollywood Casino on the west side of Columbus, Ohio. Right.
Everybody has casinos now. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, Pittsburgh has one.
Ohio is one of the states, they're always slow. They were slow for casinos. They always did the riverboats. They really didn't want any freestanding casinos. They were one of the last states to do it. Same thing with the medical marijuana. I mean, it's a very, very, very conservative, slow-moving state when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I'm surprised we even have it. But, it's good. I don't get to play as much as I'd like, dealing with work and playing house, being a family man. But, at the end of the day, it definitely is a hobby of mine.
Yeah, you married with kids?
Yeah, so I'm married. I have two kids and one on the way.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
You kind of use Kratom like somebody would drink coffee. A lot of people I interview on this podcast have had addiction problems, or they've been in an accident and they have chronic pain. They want to switch from opioids. Yours is a different story. You have Kratom. Seems like in the morning before work, just to get you going for work. Like a lot of people use it in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, I actually use it for what it was intended for. It was intended as to my knowledge and my studies my research, as a quick little pick-me-up to get workers through the day, through grueling work, hard manual labor, Mm-hmm. It pepped them up, gave them a little pep in their step, and it gave them, small pain-relieving properties when they were chewing the leaves. So I'm not surprised. I'm using it for that reason. However, I am surprised that a very, very, very small percentage of people I talk to who know about Kratom, it's hard to find individuals who are actually using it as a performance enhancer, a cognitive enhancer, a nootropic, for business professionals or any kind of cerebral stimulation. I've rarely come across individuals who are utilizing it for that nature, which is pretty interesting because if used correctly, of course, it can have quite the results. So.
You said you hadn't even had a cup of coffee in years. Is that right?
That's correct. With supplementing Kratom throughout my weekly routine, I'll use Kratom maybe 3 to 5 times a week. And I mean, gosh, I can't remember the last time I had a cup of coffee. I don't need it.
How did you find out about Kratom and how long ago was that?
It was a few years ago. I was doing some research for anti-stress natural herbal supplements, and I was wanting to create a natural stress aid instead of buying some of the expensive products on the market that had proprietary blends that you really didn't know what you were buying, whether it was BS, what kind of quality ingredients were in there. So I did hundreds of hours of research on all kinds of anti-stress and anti-anxiety natural herbs and supplements to, create my own. I was actually going to create a tea, and I was going to create a morning blend, and I was going to create a blend for nighttime for when you're winding down. And throughout that research, I accidentally stumbled upon Kratom. And I said, this is interesting. What's this? And I almost passed it over because it appeared to be something for ex-addicts, with its pain-relieving properties. And it had some a little bit of a bad rap to it and some questionable studies and research and some questionable press. I actually almost overlooked it. But then when I dug in deeper, I realized it could be used in a multitude of different ways. And so then that's how I found it. And then from that point, I probably put in a good 40 hours of research, maybe 50 hours of research before I decided to try it for the first time.
That's actually a good amount, and that's what people should do. How long have you been using Kratom?
I'd say sporadically over the last couple years, probably 2 years, anywhere from 0 times a week to 5 times a week. It just all depends. Sometimes I'll go a couple weeks without using it. Some weeks I'll use it, sometimes I'll use it 2 to 3 weeks in a row, 3 to 5 times a week. It just all varies.
So do you have any preferred strains that you use?
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing. So when I first decided that I was going to try it, which I was pretty nervous about because, I'm 35 years old, and so I was 33 the first time I tried it, and it had been a long time since I had tried anything. I'm not a recreational drug user. I definitely have a few drinks here and there. I like my tequila and stuff like that. But, gosh, it had been since I was 20, 21 years old since I ever put any kind of illegal substance in my system. And it was, that wasn't even anything harsh. I mean, that was like kids play, you know what I mean? So I was a little nervous at first, but I did my research. I felt confident, and I went to the Kratom store. It's in Columbus, Ohio. I decided I was going to get a little bit of everything. I was going to get some whites, some greens, some yellows, and some reds. So I started out, I think I got 5 to 6 different strains of white, green, yellow, and red to start off with. So I spent, well over $100. I mean, it was close to probably 150, 165, something around that range. And I kept a log, and I started tracking my results. I started off small. I started off with 3 grams, and I would go 3 grams of each strain. I'd try each strain a minimum of 2 times, sometimes three times to record the results. And then after I went through the whites, then I go through the greens, then I go through the yellows and the reds. And, I was charting this different strains, the different amounts. I was charting whether I had a full stomach or empty stomach. I was really trying to see, if this was all a bunch of BS or really, if this could have some cool properties to it to help enhance my way of life. So once I got done all my studies and all my testing phase, I realized I wasn't a fan of it for nighttime. I wasn't a fan of the reds. I don't like to be slowed down. So
yeah,
I didn't, that's not for me. And I realized and I don't have any pain. So I've never abused pain pills. I've never been addicted to anything in my life. Unless you consider good food and whining and dining an addiction. So I don't have any kind of crazy ailments. I don't have any kind of crazy story. So what I found would work best for me is the whites and the greens. And I found, what dosage would be proper. And, when it would be good for me, in the mornings, empty stomach, stuff like that. So the types of strains I first got involved with, that's how I found what I liked. And that was the whole process of, finding out, hey, is this for me or is this not for me? And how am I going to continue to use it in the future if it is for me?
With Kratom, you really have to put the work in, and you have to figure out. It's people ask me, how much should I take, or what's going to do this for this? I mean, start with a teaspoon and, work your way up. Since everybody's body's different, everybody's brain's different, you got to just work it out for yourself.
Exactly. And that's why I think it actually should be regulated. I realized very quickly that it's definitely a drug. It's legal. It's not illegal in the state of Ohio, but just like caffeine's a drug, it's a cousin of the coffee plant. It needs to be respected. I mean, it's just like alcohol. You can have a glass of wine with dinner, or, you can drink 2 freaking bottles of wine and screw yourself up and be sick. So not only that night, but the whole next day. Same thing with Kratom. I mean, same thing with vitamin C. Even too much of a good thing can be bad for you. So, I am a proponent of it being regulated, at least in the sense that you have to be 18 or over to buy it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something for, underage kids to be using. It can be very powerful. That's one of my love-hate relationships with it. It is a little bit of a chore to find your sweet spot. And then because the way your body ingests it, if you do your homework, you'll realize that you can get different effects on different days with the same strain just because of the way your body is that day, right?
Yeah.
So you're still not going to get guaranteed same effects day after day after day with the same strain and the same dosage. It's going to vary, which I think is going to keep certain people in my career field hesitant, because not everybody has the patience like I did of spending freaking 4 to 6 months perfecting the perfect, amount and dosage and strain and all that jazz. I mean, it was definitely a lot of work. It was worth it.
Yeah.
But to a new user, it's definitely a lot more than just, hey, do you want to pick me up in the morning, or do you want relaxation at night? Oh, okay, great. You want relaxation at night? Okay, go take 3 teaspoons and tell me how you feel. No, it's a lot more than that. And I think people who BS about it being any different, they're just spreading false information. I don't see how anybody could respectfully pass along that kind of BS info.
How much do you take, like, when you take it, and what's your way of preparing it? Do you do a tea or toss and wash?
That's a cool question, because when I first started out, I was doing the toss and wash, and oh man, I hated that. I get Kratom all over the place to get on my clothes. No matter how careful I try to be, it was ridiculous. And people ask what it tastes like. I'm like, go rip some grass out of the yard, put it in a blender, dry it out.
I think grass would be an improvement.
Yeah, I mean, like I just say it tastes like earth, and if they get it, they get it. But when they taste it, they'll definitely know, right? So I did the toss and wash, and then I was advised if you mix it up with orange juice, it would help break down some of the binary fibers, and it help your body absorb it quicker, and the onset process would be minimized. So with the toss and wash, I get like a body buzz 15 to 20 minutes in, and then about 40 to 45 minutes, I'd start feeling some real effects. Doing the orange juice with some lime juice, I do a mixture. I do like an ounce of lime juice and 2 ounces of orange juice. And then I'll do 4 grams of either white or green in the morning. And so I'll mix it up, which is a little bit of a pain. There's definitely some drawbacks. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. I mean, but anything worthwhile isn't easy, right? So I'll mix that up right in the morning, and I'll just down it, and then I'll down a glass of warm water immediately after, and that makes the onset, instead of it being about 45, I'm about 6 foot, about 260-ish pounds. So instead of the onset being about 45 minutes, with the orange juice and the lime juice, it takes it down to 15 to 20. I mean, I'm feeling I'm feeling the body buzz in 10 minutes, and I'm feeling about 80% of the effects within 25 minutes. And then once I hit 30 minutes, I'm at full effect. And then it lasts about 4 to 5 hours. And then, most of the time I don't take it again that day. And then sometimes I might re-up at lunch. So, which it's a great appetite suppressor. So, if I didn't pack a lunch for the day or I'm too busy to grab lunch, I'll take an extra 2 or 3 grams during lunchtime. It'll suppress my appetite.
Absolutely,
give me a pick-me-up that I need. And it's great in that way. That's how I take it. And you definitely feel the difference between the toss and wash and the orange juice and the lime juice. I thought it was going to be BS. It's not BS. At least for my body, it's not. So it's a big difference. Some people, when they hear appetite suppressant, they're going to start thinking, oh, does it got additives in it? Does it got freaking speed or some crap in it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't have any speed in it, but it works on your opioid receptors in your brain. When activating those receptors, release dopamine and serotonin, which give you a feeling of well-being and pleasure and things like that. And that takes your mind off of appetite. So that's not increasing your heart rate. I actually have high blood pressure. So I've been on blood pressure medication since I was 20, and I have a blood pressure machine at my house. I've taken Kratom. I've taken my pulse. It does not increase my heart rate by more than 5 points, and it doesn't increase my blood pressure at all.
Yeah.
So for anybody out there saying, oh, it could have something in it, blah, 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 anything could have anything bad in it, even something you get at the supermarket. However, if you're getting it from a good quality source, not some stupid head shop, the store I get it from, they do third-party testing.
Yeah, that's good.
So I know it's clear. And not only that, I specifically I paid my own money to take a drug test just to make sure there wasn't any crazy additives, right? And I took a 20-panel drug test. There's a lot of forums out there where people are saying, hey, well, this caused me to fail a drug test for work, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And 50% said yes, 50% said no. Listen, I don't know what those folks do for a living, but I took a 20-panel drug test, 2 of them, just to be sure, and everything was negative. So yeah. It's not going to, and that's another thing. Some of the people online saying, hey, in the forums, oh, it made me feel, no, I don't believe that those people were clean. I just, or they hit the lottery in a bad way and they got so unlucky that their Kratom that they bought just so happened to have some expensive drug to make them fail the drug test. Nobody's going to take such a inexpensive drug and lace it with an expensive drug. I mean, it's just silly to think that.
Yes.
These freaking miners, the Kratom miners out there, and if anybody has ever done the research and watched how they strip these trees of their leaves, it's like, dude, they're not. I mean, they're walking in freaking bare feet, for God's sake. They're not putting. Yeah. You know what I mean? Give me a break.
Yeah. I mean, there has been adulterated Kratom in the past with Krypton. That was in Sweden where 9 people died and everything. But it works so well on its own, and it works best in its pure form that, I mean, I guess there would be an incentive for some people to lace it, but
that just comes down to the individual and what they want to put in their body. So, for example, if you got, someone who really doesn't have too much of a care of what they're putting in their body, then they might buy some weird Kratom from some weird head shop, that's not tested. Me, hey, I got more to live for than a cheap high. So I'm only putting stuff in my body that's tested. I know it's tested. If people want to go buy cheap crap, don't tarnish Kratom's name for some cheap, you know what I mean? Take some accountability is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's where the regulation comes in, too. I think people should know that they're getting pure kratom. Really could be, I mean, do you think it could be kind of like, not necessarily a replacement, but just like coffee and just like the regular work world?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love coffee, but I was never the guy who wakes up and says, "Oh, I need a cup of coffee." I was never that guy. I've never needed a cup of coffee in my life. However, if I felt like I wanted a boost for the day, then I drink a cup of coffee. I mean, I can't remember having more than 2 cups of coffee in one day in my whole freaking life, right? So even when I did drink it, I didn't drink it that much, nor did I drink it frequently. So I can't see Kratom. I could see Kratom surpassing coffee if it wasn't for the delivery method and the trial and error. Coffee is a lot easier. Coffee is easier to use. It's easier to gain your level, half a cup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kratom's definitely. That's the only reason I don't think it would overtake coffee. Is there's just too much work that goes into it to find that perfect sweet spot. Where coffee, it's just so quick, you can find out a lot easier, you know?
It kind of came into our culture as the same time bath salts and spice and K2 and all this other stuff came in, and it's been sold like
and
that.
That's why so many, that's why it can get. That's why it's getting a bad name in the news because of all that BS. However, it's only legal if you sell it not for consumption, right? Like you can't make any crazy claim. The law is you can't make any crazy claims that it cures this, it cures that, and you're not supposed to be selling it for consumption. However, if a company was able to come out, was able to sell for consumption, I do think selling it in a extract form would be like some kind of quick release extract form would really be able to get it on store shelves. I think that would be a great way because it'd be so much easier to take. It'd be a quicker onset, and you could not have to mess around so much with gram here, gram there, teaspoon this, scale that. Like I know people in my industry, in my career field, in sales and marketing, they're not going to some freaking head shop to get a freaking scale to weigh this crap out, man. That's a turnoff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't smoke weed. They don't, you know what I mean? Like they're just not going in there, you know? I mean, they might order on Amazon, but you tell someone, hey, I got this great herbal remedy to help your back pain or help you sleep, but you got to buy a freaking scale for it. Yeah, it sounds like hippie shit, and it's going to turn people freaking off. So, but that's why I think the extract way, which I've never tried, but, with the extract, if a company could get legalized and bring it out that way, I think that would be a great way for someone to go.
Do you know any coworkers who take Kratom, or have you ever had to explain it to anybody you work with?
Well, I never hit it, so
yeah,
I'd have people saying, what the heck is that, man? And I'd say, oh, it's Kratom. I'd straight up, say, hey, it's Kratom. They'd say, what's that? And I was like, you haven't heard it? It's funny. When I was doing my research before I actually bought some, I went around to everybody in my office, an old company I worked for, and I won't name the name, but there was a decent amount of people there that smoked weed. They bought the vaporizer pens, the weed cartridges. I mean, there are a lot of people that were dabbling in shit. And, I went around and I said, hey, you ever heard Kratom? You ever heard Kratom? And nobody, not one, had heard of it. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, these are freaking people, some of them smoke a crap ton of weed a day. And it was like, I was shocked that nobody had heard of it. And so when I started using it, coworkers come up and they say, hey, what is that? And I'd say Kratom, and they'd say, well, what's it do? And I'm like, it's a cousin of coffee, just a nice little pick-me-up and mood enhancer. And they're like, huh, that's interesting. And they'd see me, having it a couple of days a week. And some of them wanted to try it. Some of them didn't. I didn't press anybody to try it. There was a couple of people where I said, hey, try this and let me know how it makes you feel. and it got mixed results because it's such a hit or miss as far as the dosage, the strain, figuring out what's going to work best for your body height, your body weight, what you ate that day, what you ate yesterday, how long ago you ate, you know what I mean? So it was like when they did try it, it was kind of like a coin flip, whether they thought, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread, or they think, hey, this isn't for me, because unlike me, who put all, hours and hours of research into it, they're not doing that. So, they're saying, oh, hey, I'd like to try some. You're not going to go through a freaking 3-hour spiel, right? They're thinking, they see you using it and they think, well, it's either going to work for me or it's not going to work for me. And so it's like, that's another problem with the Kratom with mass appeal, is like, it's not like this quick fix as far as like finding your dosage, right? So it's still to this day, if one of my favorite strains is sold out and I got to get a new strain, I'm always kind of like, damn, man, because then you never know if that strain's going to be whack or not good for you, right? So it's kind of like, oh, for me personally, it's definitely worth it. It gives me a huge cognitive boost, and it's not as speedy as coffee,
It's more of a calmer pick-me-up, I think.
Yeah. It's just like I relate it to if you woke up on a nice sunny day on your day off, and like the sun's shining in through the window, and you kind of wake up, you just got that good warm feeling, and your body, you just want to go out and have fun. You're in a great mood. You just can't wait to get out the house and go have fun. That's kind of how the morning Kratoms make you feel, except a little bit extra cognitive boost as far as you're a little quicker, you're a little sharper, you're a little bit more on point, you're definitely more talkative. You have a little bit of euphoria to yourself that day. It's great. So that's what it does for me. There's no hangover, there's no come down. It's not a drug like that. It just improves my work abilities throughout the week when I do use it. And there's very little downside besides the delivery method and the startup and getting used to it,
Is that downside, you were just talking about, the only side effects you've ever had with Kratom?
No, God, no. So anybody who researches it, I'm sure you've heard of the eye wobbles, or you've probably gotten them before. Oh, yeah, that's not fun, getting the eye wobbles. And I don't think that comes down to taking too much. I think that comes down to not being hydrated enough.
Yeah.
There's this big thing online about the eye wobbles. Hey, is it from taking too much Kratom, or is it you're not hydrated enough? And I'm telling you right now, I've tested that method too. I've sat at home all day on my days off and taken Kratom, and I've tested it. I've tested it when I haven't drank water. I've tested it when you definitely need to be drinking double the water. And for anybody who listens to this,
definitely, yeah,
you need to be drinking double the water that you normally drink in a day, because if not, you will get the eye wobbles. And if you don't get eye wobbles, it can cause headaches. I definitely think it's a diuretic. Like coffee is a little bit of a diuretic because it speeds you up, right? So it speeds up your whole system. Your system burns through your fuel quicker, which is food and water, right? So Kratom, same thing. So you're going to burn through the hydration in your body. And, part of an alcohol hangover is what? Dehydration.
Yeah.
Right? But once you get past all that, man, it can definitely add quality to your life. I am a 100% believer.
Thank you, Michael McCunney from Columbus, Ohio. The music is by Risey. The song is called Memories of Thailand. The Kratom Science Podcast is written and produced by me, Brian Gallagher, for KratomScience.com. Take care.